games with 2 home runs. And a good pitch again by Frank Viola. A good curveball there. You remember Daniels had a salary settlement with Cincinnati when Marge Schott flipped a coin to see whether or not he would get his figure or hers, and he won the flip.
Wasn't that the difference, I think, between $300,000 and $325,000, something
right.
like that, a couple of years ago?
$300,000 or $325,000, and she said, well, I'll flip you for it. And he said, okay, I'll take you on, and he won. So he picked up an extra $25,000 as Viola strikes out 2 of his first 3 batters in this game. The score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Dodgers, nothing. The Mets coming up. And now here's a word from the New York Daily News. On the mound for the Dodgers, John Wetland with a record of 1-2, and earned run average is 7.62. He's walked 3, struck out 13, given up 16 hits in 13 innings. And he's 0-2 against the Mets lifetime.
And the lineup for the Mets, Greg Jeffries leading it off, followed by Kevin Elster, his 4th game, batting 2nd. Howard Johnson hitting 3rd, followed by Darryl Strawberry batting 4th. Kevin McReynolds in left hitting 5th. Mike Marshall, the first baseman, batting 6th. Darryl Boston in center hitting 7th. Catcher Barry Lyons batting 8th, and Frank Viola batting 9th.
And John Wetland with his first pitch to Greg Jeffries, and he gets it in the strike zone for a called strike. The defense for the Dodgers at first base, Mickey Hatcher, Willie Randolph at second, Alfredo Griffin playing shortstop, and Mike Sharperson playing 3rd. And a ball call. It's 1-1 in the outfield. Daniels, Samuel, and Brooks. And the catcher is Rick Dempsey. Jeffries hitting .286 with 3 home runs, 6 runs batted in. And Wetland's pitch, a high fastball hit out to fairly deep right field. Back in the warning track is Hubie Brooks, and he makes the catch. So 1 away, and the batter will be Kevin Elster.
We had Robin Williams in the booth last night. Hubie Brooks looks like Mork out there. Did you see the sunglass straps that he's got with those antennae hanging out of both? Look at that. There's Mork.
Now the batter, Kevin Elster. Elster hitting .117 for the year, and he takes a fastball for a ball. There he is.
I'll talk to Hubie about that tomorrow. Hubie, one of the really delightful people in the game, I'll tell you. What a great guy.
Started his career here with the New York Mets, and the fastball popped up in foul territory. Dempsey making the call. And the veteran catcher makes the catch. Dempsey, having played in 4 different decades in Major League Ball, when he played in a ball game on August April the 12th.
See where Minnie Minoso's tuning up for his 6th decade this year, 67 years old.
Yeah, but that really shouldn't count. I mean, that's a gimmick.
Yeah, that's right.
He got
it's kind of fun anyway, though.
He got in his 5th decade when he played a few years back. Now Howard Johnson, the batter. Howard hitting .266, 7 home runs, 18 runs batted in. 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. That game won by the Mets. Johnson at .266. No score. We're just underway here at Shea on a very pleasant spring day. And Wetland misses again. It's 2-0. Johnson's had a terrible time hitting against the Dodger pitchers in his major league career. He's hitting .217 with only 4 home runs. Got his first home run last year against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Darryl Strawberry even worse against the Dodgers, the team that he has said he'd like to go to. Fouled it back. Mike Strawberry hitting just 185 in his career against the Dodgers with 8 home runs. He's on deck. And this one is popped up into shallow right field. So the Mets go in order, as well as the Dodgers in the first. The score at the end of 1. The Dodgers nothing, the Mets nothing. And here's a word from Express Mail. Well, Tommy Lasorda, the manager of the Dodgers, Frank Viola, after working a 1-2-3 inning into the dugout, having a little fun with Keith Miller. As we go to the top of the second, and the leadoff batter will be Hubie Brooks. Brooks hitting .235 with 6 home runs, 19 RBIs. He gets a curveball on his first pitch. It's ball 1. Talking about Strawberry not doing well against the Dodgers. Hubie Brooks, signed by the Dodgers. He had hit only 1 home run in 140 at-bats at Dodger Stadium. Yeah. They said, let's go get him anyway. And there's a pitch, and Hubie off to a good start. He's had 6 home runs so far this year. On the 9th of April, he broke up a no-hitter by Bruce Hurst. He got a base hit in the 7th and then hit a 3-run home run in the 8th to give the Dodgers a 4-2 victory. That was the first game the Dodgers played this year. So he paid dividends right away for the Dodgers after being acquired from Montreal. There's that change of pace. The bread and butter pitcher of Frank Viola.
First baseman, number 9, Mickey Hatcher.
Viola has so much confidence in that changeup. That's a circle change. If you put your thumb and your forefinger about the size of a quarter and hold a baseball, that's how Viola throws that circle change.
And here's Billy Hatcher. He goes after the fastball.
He actually holds it with his last 3 fingers and puts his forefinger and his thumb together to form about the size of a quarter. And a hitter has a tendency to swing at the arm motion. The arm motion's the same as the fastball. And that right-hander, it is a very deceptive pitch. One of the best changeups around. I think the big thing this year, though, Ralph, he's been throwing hard.
Fastball is really much more, with more velocity than last year when he was 5-5 with the Mets. Ground ball hit to deep short. Hatcher can't run too well anymore, and he's thrown out easily by Elster. Billy Hatcher, the veteran, playing in his 11th year in the major leagues. Lifetime average of .282, but only 36 home runs.
Third baseman, number 20.
So 2 men out. That broke a string of 3 consecutive strikeouts for Frank Viola, and it brings up Mike Sharperson. Sharperson playing third base today, hitting .310. No home runs, 3 runs batted in. Jeff Hamilton, the regular third baseman for the Dodgers, just had surgery. Surgery on his right shoulder, so he'll be out of action probably for another 6 weeks or so. 1 ball, no strikes. And the off-speed pitch, the changeup for ball 2, 2-0. Mets players in a good mood today. That one right on the outside corner, 2-1.
I got my scorecard nailed down today, Phelps.
If you got pins in it, huh?
I lost my scorecard last night. Gust of wind came up. Dempsey on deck. A gust of wind came up. My scorecard was retrieved about an inning later.
That was really comic relief right there. And the fastball swung on and missed 2-2.
It was for you because you had yours.
You're going to steal mine, though.
Those right-handers, they get set for the changeup, and then Viola comes and blows the fastball by Sharperson.
Well, again, the fastball, it's fouled back. Count stays at 2-2. Dodgers in deep trouble. They're at third place, but they're 8 games back. Cincinnati continues to win. They're 20-6. The Dodgers are 2 games under 500. And of course, they have lost Hershiser for the year, and he's their ace pitcher. Jay Howell has also been lost, and that has really hurt them. Their bullpen has just been in dire straits. And again, the ball fouled off. Coming into this series, their bullpen was 3-4 with only 2 saves, and they had blown 4 games. And in their last 6 games, their earned run average, I'm talking about the bullpen, 7.11. Again, a ball fouled off. Their bullpen has really let them down.
Yeah, when you see a streak like that from a bullpen, you got to understand that there are some runs that aren't even charged to them because they're giving up a lot of starters runs if they come in with guys on base, for instance.
This one finally golfed out to right field, so Sharperson hangs in there, fouls off enough pitches till he finally can get a base hit, and that's the first hit of the game.
That was a great at bat by Mike Sharperson, fouling off some tough pitches and staying alive, and then going with this fastball the other way. Fine at bat by the Dodger third baseman.
So a base runner for the Dodgers, and Rick Dempsey the batter. Rick has been up just 8 times this year. He has 3 hits. And the first pitch low for a ball. A lot of action going on with 2 men out by the coaching staff. Dodgers are 6th in stolen bases with 27. And that pitch is right on the outside corner, 1-1. Although the Dodgers are in trouble, trailing by 8 games this early in the year, San Francisco 11.5 games out, and they were the National League's West champions last year. 1-1 pitch, and it's fouled back out of play. You're watching Mets Baseball 90 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. No score, a runner at first. 2 men away. We're in the top of the 2nd inning. Frank Viola trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. Just did miss. 2-2. Pitchers have been allowed to go to their mouth while on the mound. That is normally illegal, and they call a ball if they do. Doesn't seem to be that cold. 2-2 pitch. A runner goes. Double clutch by Lyons, and the throw down is not in time. So another stolen base by the Dodgers. And the Mets continue to have serious problems in that department.
Well, 68 have tried and 61 have succeeded in the stolen base department. The Dodgers with 5 stolen bases last night in the first 4 innings, and this throw high. Sharperson that time did not have a good lead. You call it right, and didn't have a good jump. Lyons double clutched, and the throw was high.
Now at 3-2, a runner in scoring position, and the ball is fouled off. Sharperson back to second base.
On top of the Mets catchers' throwing woes, they have committed 9 errors, 4 by Lyons, 4 by Sasser, and 1 by Orlando Mercado before he was sent down to Tidewater.
Sasser was catching in last night's ball game, and that's ball 4. So now runners at first and second with 2 men out. Alfredo Griffin will be the batter for the Dodgers.
The shortstop, number 7.
First walk by Viola, and only his 6th walk in 44 innings. And it came on a 3-2 pitch. Griffin hitting .294. He has no home runs, but he has driven in 5. And the fastball that is called a strike. Griffin 1 for 4 in last night's ball game. He's had 1 hit in his last 12 at bats. Fastball fouled away. It's strike 2.
I'll tell you, since Daryl Boston has joined the Mets, he has really graphically shown how deep the opposite fielders are playing with the Mets, both McReynolds and Strawberry. Now look how shallow Boston is. Now McReynolds has got to protect because a right-handed hitter is up, but look how deep Strawberry is. When your center fielder is playing more shallow than your opposite fielder, something's wrong. And Daryl should be in about 5 more steps. Of course, Keith Miller, inexperienced in center field.
And it's called a ball, so it's 1-2. That position that Boston has in center field is the shallowest position any center fielder has ever played for the New York Mets back in '62. Of course, going all the way back to '62, their first year, but in '62 it was excusable to play deep with the pitching staff that they had. Now here's a little number out in front of the mound picked up by Viola, and he pitches out of trouble. A single and a walk and 2 men left on. The score at the end of 1.5 innings. The Dodgers nothing, the Mets nothing, and here's a word from Busch Gardens. Well, so we say, svelte Tommy Lasorda?
I don't know. Tommy, I think's gained back a little of what he lost. I guess he's on the road to having the convent and the house for the nuns built in Nashville, Tennessee. That's the reason he went on the diet.
Won a large sum from both Kurt Gibson, and Oral Hershiser.
$10,000 apiece, I believe.
I think they even raised the ante on that.
I believe that's right. Yeah, and the money went to raise a home for the Good Sisters down in Nashville, Tennessee. And then they had a benefit for them this winter, a benefit in which all of Tommy's friends in Hollywood, not all of them, because they're a bunch.
They couldn't get them all in one state.
Yeah, right. But a bunch of them performed, raised a lot of money for the Good Sisters in Nashville.
And Darryl Strawberry to lead it off, and he goes over the top of that pitch, strike 2. I think that when Tommy Lasorda wrote one of his books, he dedicated the book to his friends, and it was like pages and pages and pages of people. And the fastball fouled back, so the count stays at strike 2 on Strawberry, hitting .224 with 4 home runs, 11 runs batted in.
Well, Tommy's going to be part of the show. Tommy and Davey Johnson will be part of the comic relief show tonight at Radio City.
And John Wetland misses with a fastball. It's 1-2. What a perfect name for a spitball pitcher, John Wetland.
Wetland, boy, I'll say.
Of course, spitballs are not allowed. Ever since, what, 1920?
I think, you know, Wetland is, I think was it William Safire a couple of weeks ago in the New York Times Magazine was saying that Wetland was the environmental name of swamp now.
They cleaned it up a little bit.
Yeah, they cleaned it up. That's exactly right. It's not a swamp anymore. It's wetland.
And the fastball is swung on a miss, so Strawberry continues to be unproductive.
So I guess the pitcher for the Dodgers, had he been named before the environmental movement, it'd be John Swamp pitching today, right?
Now Swampy's out there again. That brings up Kevin McReynolds hitting .295. Kevin with 4 home runs, 16 runs batted in. 2 for 3 in last night's ball game. It was hit by a pitch. We were talking earlier about the wild pitches that Wetland had thrown last year. And he had only a few walks, and he was actually pretty good on control, but the wild pitches were his undoing. He had 16, one short of the record for the Dodgers. That is held by a pretty good pitcher.
For the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? Their first year out there.
And that was, of course, Sandy Koufax.
I'll say he's a pretty good pitcher.
So Dempsey gets another shot at a foul ball, and he does make the catch. So McReynolds fouls out, 2 men out.
This may seem very routine to some of you young catchers listening in, but an experienced catcher, only when you've tripped over your mask a couple of times do you understand that you wait to find the ball and then throw the mask. If you throw the mask initially and then find the ball, you find yourself stumbling over your own equipment, and that could be embarrassing.
And now the batter is Mike Marshall, the former Dodger, and he takes the breaking ball for ball 1.
Did you see Dempsey point at the left shoulder, at his left shoulder? That meant to Wetland to keep the shoulder in, keep it closed.
Marshall hitting .222 with 3 home runs, and there's a strike call, 1-1. The last time that Wetland was on the mound was in Philadelphia, and he left the ball game after 5 innings with a 5-1 lead, and the Dodgers blew the game. They lost 9-5 to Philadelphia. This ball hit in the air to center. Samuel in, and now back and over his head, and it's going to be at least 2 bases for Marshall, and Samuel having problems in center field as he did last year for the Mets.
No excuses for Sammy, but Willie Mays once again saying that this was the toughest center field that he played, or that he had to play. This slider hit well, but it should have been caught. Samuel backtracking, and now it's over his head for a double that should have been caught.
So
now,
a gift for Marshall.
Excuse me, Ralph. Now what do? Do you walk Boston to get the Lions?
I think it's too early to do that. I think they got to take on Boston and go at them without thinking of the intentional walk. Boston's been hot. Now hitting .273 for the Mets with 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. No score in the game. The Mets have their first base runner on the misjudged fly ball. That is scored as a double. And the first pitch to Boston, the ball.
The reason managers don't like to walk hitters intentionally in the early innings is it gives teams more of a chance for a big inning.
And a fastball and a good one, 1-1.
The later the game gets, then the more important just 1 run becomes. And that's why managers are inclined to intentionally walk hitters later than earlier.
Two and 1. The one thing that a pitcher in this spot, if he's a good pitcher, doesn't want to do is throw one down the middle. You try to pitch him and make the hitter hit your best pitch, and that's Lyons on deck, a right-hand batter.
So if you're a pitcher and you're a catcher, you have a wider strike zone with which to work to this particular hitter.
And it's just out of that strike zone, so it goes to 3-1. And right here, if you're a hitter, you don't really look for a pitch just to be thrown down in there for a strike, because with first base open, they got to make him hit a tough pitch, or should. That's a non-intentional, intentional walk. And he took something off of that, a great changeup on the 3-1 pitch, where normally a hitter would be looking fastball. And a very good pitch there.
Good call, and you set that up beautifully, pal. As though if you were the hitter, you would have been looking changeup or something off speed.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't be looking fastball. I would really take the fastball and look for something else.
Yep.
If I were the hitter in that spot.
And if you get a fastball right down the middle, you take it. What are you going to do?
That's really the secret of guess hitting or anticipating the pitches, is when you don't anticipate correctly, you take the pitch.
Up to 2 strikes.
Up to 2 strikes. A lot of hitters don't have the confidence to go to 2 strikes. They can at least do it up to 1 strike. Now the 3-2 pitch, and the fastball is fouled away, and that changeup on the 3-1 pitch set up the fastball. Because now if you know he's going to change on you on 3 balls and 1 strike with first base open, then you got to protect all ways. The science of hitting, and it is a science in most cases. And this ball hit hard to left. Daniels can't get to it. Coming in to score is Marshall. On the 3-2 fastball, Boston lines his base hit the left, and the Mets take the early lead.
Now, Darrell Boston has done a fine job. He got a big hit in last night's ball game to tie it in the 3rd inning. And now this base hit to left field puts the Mets on top.
So Boston on at first base with an RBI, and Barry Lyons now the batter. Lyons hitting .203 for the year. He does have 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. Been bothered by a bad back, lower back spasm. There goes Boston, and the throw by Dempsey is perfect, and Boston is thrown out. So in the inning, 1 run on 2 hits and no one left on base. The score at the end of 2, it's the Mets 1, the Dodgers nothing. And now here's a word from Metro, and that got the Dodgers out of the inning. The Mets leading 1-0. We're going to the top of the 3rd, and Frank Viola on the mound for the Mets with a record of 6-0. He'll be working to John Wetland. John not up too often so far this year. He's been up just 2 times with no hits, and he takes the first pitch, a called strike. Mets have 2 hits. The Dodgers have 1 as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. Ground ball, bad hop, but a nice one for Howard Johnson. He comes right up to his eyes, and he puts it away.
That's a case of a bad hop being a good hop.
When is a bad hop a good hop? Right then.
Right then. Watch. Bad hop, good hop.
See the adjustment on the glove from being turned down to turn up. And the throw to Marshall at first base. That brings up Juan Samuel. And Juan takes a strike. Fastball for strike 1. Juan flied out to center field his first time up. This one bounced foul by Joe Amalfitano, the 3rd base coach. Samuel hit .228 for the Mets last year in 86 games. Overall for the year, he had 120 strikeouts. One of 6 active players to strike out 100 times over the last 5 seasons, and each year of the 5 seasons. Phil Bradley, Rob Deere, Jim Presley, Jesse Barfield are the others. Also Dale Murphy, along with Samuel. He also is one of 4 with 30 or more stolen bases in each of his last 6 years. Pretty good company right here. And this ball hit in the air to Elster at shortstop. The others that have 30 or more stolen bases in each of the last 6 years: Ricky Henderson, Tim Raines, and Brett Butler. So 2 men away, and that'll bring up Willie Randolph. Daniels coming out of the dugout into the on-deck circle as Randolph takes the first pitch for ball 1. Randolph was struck out his first time up. Viola got him with a fastball. Now he tries the curve and misses. 2-0. Lifetime .274 batter. You know, it's hard to believe, but Willie Randolph, Tim, came to the Yankees from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
In the Doc Medich trade.
Played with the Yankees so long, you just sort of thought he was a Yankee player. Fouled off the fastball, 2-2.
He was a great player for 13 years with the Yankees.
Lives in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey.
Mr. Steady.
His brother Terry played football for Green Bay and the Jets. He was the Pirates' 7th round draft choice in the June 1972 draft.
Was born in South Carolina but grew up in Brooklyn. Played stickball on the streets of Brooklyn a few years ago. Having a tough road trip.
First National League home run hit right here in this ballpark on August 22nd. It was a disastrous home run for the Mets. 2-2 pitch. Punched out to the second base side. Greg Jeffries there. And the Dodgers go in order. The score at the end of 2.5 innings. The Mets won, the Dodgers nothing. Now here's a word from. Got it in. Mets leading 1-0. They have 2 hits. The Dodgers have 1. John Wetland picks up a strike. It's 1-1. A little more playful action in the Mets dugout. That's a little different dugout than we saw prior to this homestand.
Mets 6-3 on this 11-game homestand, their longest of the year.
They won 5 of their last 6 games. Meanwhile, the Dodgers on their road trip 1-6. They have lost 5 straight. They use the eye in the sky.
Joe Ferguson, the ex-Dodger catcher. He was in uniform the past few years, and now he's their eye in the sky, radioing down to Bill Russell, who is moving the outfielders around, trying to get Cal Daniels' attention right now. And now he gets it, and Cal moves to his left. There you see Cal moving to his left. So they're more inclined to pitch Barry Lyons away.
They play him the opposite way, so they have to pitch him away, so they come right back inside.
They come right back inside, right. Sometimes you just can't get coordinated.
Those are little things, but they add up. You play a player one way, and you got to pitch him that way, and this ball golfed right into center field. So Lyons singles to center. Let's get their 3rd hit. Viola now in a bunting situation. Dodgers defense against the bunt. And it's fouled back out of play.
Tell you, Lyons nursing a sore left hamstring. And this is a good time to put on a bunt and run, where all you have to do if you're the hitter is just make contact. You can bunt it as hard as you like, and if the runner at first is running, makes it to second easily.
And Hatcher made a big break from first base. That makes it easier for the runner on first. He goes in a hurry. And it's bunted, and it's a good bunt. Hatcher over to Randolph for the out. The Lions down to second.
Greg Jeffries.
Excellent bunt by Frank Viola. Hatcher's only play to Randolph covering.
So the Mets with the runner in scoring position. And the batter will be Greg Jeffries, who flat out to right his first time up. Good job by Viola. And a fastball for ball 1. Jeffries came into this game hitting .286. He was 0 for 5 yesterday. And that's ball 2. Mets 5 games back of Pittsburgh with a record of 15-14. Pittsburgh leading Philadelphia by 3.5, Montreal by 3.5, and the Mets by 5. Bounces in the dirt, and it bounces all the way back toward the screen. And Lyons easily goes over to third on a wild pitch. That's Wetland's first wild pitch of this year. He had 16 last year.
When you get the breaking ball in the dirt as a catcher, you're anticipating it. When you get the fastball in the dirt, it is very difficult to block, especially one of those 56-footers. That ball bouncing in front of home plate, and Dempsey really didn't have a chance.
And the Dodgers are playing their infield in, not fully in, but just about fully in. And there's the pitch for ball 4, and Jeffries walks, and that brings up Elster. Kevin Elster. Elster fouled out his first time up.
Now the infield drops back in double play depth.
First walk issued by Wetland. And the slider high for a ball. Howard Johnson in the on-deck circle. Fastball for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Ron Peronowski, the pitching coach for the Dodgers.
You're always better off. Boy, what a reliever he was. But you're always better off hitting with the count 2-0. But when a pitcher has thrown 6 straight balls, it's even better to be hitting 2-0. Because now he's really pressing to throw a strike, any strike. So that means the quality of the pitch is going to be less than it would be if the count were 0-2, for instance. So an ideal hitting situation for Kevin Elster. Howard Johnson on deck. You've got to throw a strike here.
He's got it all his way right now.
Yes, sir. So does he.
Frank Viola trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. 2-0 pitch, and it's called a strike, and it was a borderline pitch. Bud Harrelson, the third base coach for the Mets. Dodgers set up for the double play. To keep them from making that double play, you could use the hit and run. And there's the throw to first.
Good time to do it. So the good thing about baseball is you can defense anything thrown at you. So if the runner is running and the ball's hit to an infielder, you may think about coming home to get lines instead of going for the double play.
All these things you got to think about when you're in that infield. And also when you're pitching and catching. And there's ball 3, and that really sets it up for Kevin Elster. 3-1. Howard Johnson on deck. And David Johnson, if you follow the way he manages, likes to put the runner in motion on 3-1 counts. Jeffries has above average speed at first. He's running. And it's ball 4, and the bases are loaded.
Fastball missed. 1-0 the count. One-nothing Mets, looking for a whole lot more here in the third. That's a strike. The Mets lead the National League in home runs. They have 33, and Johnson has hit 7 of them. One ball, one strike. Fastball hit to the right side. Randolph to Griffin in the dirt, and Hatcher can't dig it out, and the run is in. Dodgers had a chance for a double play last night, and Eddie Murray couldn't come up with one in the dirt. Now they can't come up with one, and Lasorda is furious. Lasorda, in all of his frustration, trying to walk it off, went the full length of the dugout, and he is seething as Hatcher had it, and it came out of the glove. So the inning should be over, but it's not, and it is 2-0 Mets. So a misjudged fly ball, the inability to turn the double play. Mets 2, Dodgers nothing, and here is Darryl Strawberry. So John Wetland is really unlucky, and he's down by 2. Time. Howard Johnson at first. Greg Jeffries at third. Johnson has good running speed, but they probably like to keep Hatcher on the bag. Now back. Strawberry with 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in. Darryl announced the other day that he is not going to talk contract. You know, he's coming out to the end of this year. He's not going to talk about it. No meetings, no conversations until after the season. The wind is turned around now. It's blowing out to right. Ball 1. So that's a complete wind shift. In the inning, Lyons singled. He was sacrificed. Wild pitch to third. Jeffries and Elster walked. Johnson hit what might have been a double play, but the Dodgers couldn't come up with it, and it's 2-0 New York. And that's going to be banged in, and that makes it 3-0. On his way is Johnson to third, and on his way to second is Strawberry. Boy, when they talk about fundamentals, it is a fundamental rule of baseball. You must make the plays you're called upon to make, or you're going to get buried. And the Dodgers have not committed an error. There's a big 0 under the error, but they have come up with a couple of bad plays. And Lasorda's about ready to, well, you tell me, fill in the blanks. 10 words or less. 3-0 New York. And the curve misses to McReynolds. So first, the misjudged fly ball with 2 out is cashed in. Then the inability to come up with a double play means another, and so consequently yet another base hit, and it's 3-0 New York. McReynolds, who has really given the Dodgers a bad time, he has 48 lifetime RBIs against the Dodgers. 0 for 1 today. But he has a chance to pick up Howard Johnson at third and Darryl Strawberry at second. On deck is Mike Marshall. So they're not giving McReynolds a strike. They're hoping he'll go after a breaking ball, but he refuses to bite, and they count 3-0. Half swing on the breaking ball for a strike. So 3-1. And the fastball, bad swing. McReynolds never turned on it. He was really jammed, and the inning is over. The Mets get 2. Don will be along in a minute. At the end of 3, 3-0 New York.
Top and Cal Daniels, who struck out against Frank Viola in the first inning, is the batter. Viola has struck out 3. He has walked 1, and the Dodgers have 1 hit. Right on the corner. Viola threading the needle. 0-2 to Cal Daniels. I'm telling you, when he misses by inches. He is really in a groove. 6-0 coming in with a 1.05 ERA. 2-2 to Daniels. Probably listening to the basketball game. Or Bob Murphy and Gary Cohen. Hit well to left field, but McReynolds is there, and he makes the play. 1 away, and a reminder that this game is brought to you in part by The Wiz. Remember, for anything in home entertainment, nobody beats The Wiz. And by the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages. No other book can match it. New Jersey Bell, a Bell Atlantic company. Hubie Brooks now. Hubie a strikeout victim. Hubie 0 for 5 last night, and he takes strike 1, 0-1.
That 0 for 5 stopped a 7-game hitting streak.
What a change. What a change of numbers for Viola. Changing with Dave Magadan. And these are his numbers up to the minute. The ERA has dropped under 1 outside to Brooks, 1 and 2. Five earned runs in 46 innings. Jammed with a fastball is Brooks. Johnson, 2 outs. Viola wore the number 29 in high school. He also wore the number 29 in college when he pitched with St. John's. But when he signed with the Minnesota Twins, the Twins were in the process of retiring that number because it was Rod Carew's number. When he got here last year, Dave Magadan had the number, and Frankie didn't want to. There's Dave, who wears number 10 now. Frankie didn't want to ask Magadan for it. So Magadan relinquished that number this year in spring training. Hatcher now near the stands as Lions, a couple of rows back. 0-2 to Mickey Hatcher.
When you changed ball clubs, did you get your original number?
No. I think I wore about 6 different numbers. 15, 33, 2, 6, 11. That's 5.
Did you put any superstition on the numbers at all?
No. I'm not a superstitious person.
I think it was Cesar Cedeno that when he was traded wanted the same number, not because of the number so much, but because all of his gold jewelry had the number that he had, and he couldn't afford to change it all over.
4th strikeout for Viola. Boy, he is really zipping along. He has a 3-0 lead, middle of the 4th. We're back after this from the Wiz. Here in the bottom of the 4th. Curve is fouled away, still 0-2. Well, we got some pastries from the very few members of Kappa Kappa Skew fraternity in Brooklyn.
Where is Steve Zabriskie when you need him?
That's right. Cap Askew, the brilliant line of Steve Zabriskie. When we referred to Len Dykstra in that strange game, July 4th and 5th, 1985, the 19-inning game, the Mets scoring 5 in the Top of the 19th. Dykstra caught a ball with his cap askew, and that was the the start of cap askew.
And for those of you who might wonder what Steve is doing now, he was here yesterday broadcasting a ball game for another network.
For ESPN, yep. 2-2 to Mike Marshall.
He reported in good shape, and his family's fine. Lynn and the two baby girls are all grown up, doing well. Lynn, who had some physical problems, is really coming back. We're happy to hear that.
Certainly happy to hear that. That's right. 3-2 to Marshall. Got him with the slider. So Marshall down on strikes. That's the second strikeout for Wetland. And the batter, Darrell Boston.
And on the Nissan National League scoreboard, San Francisco and Philly later, Houston playing in Pittsburgh, Chicago and Cincinnati, Atlanta and St. Louis, and Montreal and San Diego, all night games.
Matter of fact, this is not only the only night game or the only day game in the National League. There's only one other day game being played this afternoon. Baltimore at Oakland. And Darrell Boston wanted to bunt. He takes ball one. Darrell with an RBI single to put the Mets on the board in the third inning. Mets leading 3-0.
When Whoopi Goldberg said a nice remark about Boston when she was here last night in the clubhouse today, the ball players are all over Boston about that. They're really giving him a tough time.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. His second game with the Mets. He's a ladies' man and a very dapper in Woman magazine. He was named one of the 10 most eligible bachelors. Dancer he is.
She picked up that from the broadcast booth.
Ball and 2 strikes to the natty Darrell Boston. Fashionable dresser is he. Grounded sharply to Randolph. 2 outs. Along with our pastries from Kappa Skew, we also got some food from Lily Davidson. It's tough to watch our weight up here.
They're making it a hard season.
Yeah. Yum Yum. There's Lloyd Lindsay Yum Yum, the weatherman at Channel 9 and a big Mets fan. Obviously not Yum Yum. It's Lloyd Lindsay Young.
How come he brought an umbrella out here when the sun's shining brightly?
It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so it'll probably show up without one. 0-1 to Barry Lyons. And this one almost hit him. And he takes third base.
I mean, I've heard of guys being knocked down, but not knocked down all the way to the fungal circle out there. Watch
Check this out.
Now this ball, this is really his fault. That ball isn't that tight. He just didn't get out of the way of it in time. Now watch where he goes, all the way to the fungal circle.
Barry, come back here. Sharply to right, so Lyons with his second hit of the day. Good hitting by Barry Lyons. A low and away slider the first time, lined to single to center. And now he rockets one to right. So Viola will bat with Lyons at first and 2 outs.
The pitcher, Frank Viola.
Frank, a sacrifice his first at bat. Certainly helped the Mets score 2 runs in the third. 0-1.
The one thing about Barry Lyons' base hit is the fact that it clears the pitcher. You got the pitcher up, and you can start the next inning with the top of the batting order and not start it with your pitcher batting.
On a musical note, John Wetland, who is a fine musician, he plays the clarinet and the saxophone, is facing Frank Viola. What a matchup. 1-1 to Frankie. Wetland's father, as a matter of fact, a very accomplished piano player and singer in the San Francisco area, very popular.
Yeah, he's one of the top entertainers.
As Jeff Mitchell shrewdly moves to Darren Reed in the dugout. And it's thrown away. Lyons is going to try for third and make it. So another Dodger error on a routine play.
Well, they cleared the pitcher with Lyons base hit, and now Viola sees Lyons go to third on the throwing. And the drop of the ball by Wetland, and Viola's safe at first on the error. So the Mets now have their leadoff batter up.
I would think that is going to be an error on the pitcher. That throw was right there. And it was an error on John Wetland. Greg Jeffries now the batter. Ball one.
You know, Wetland was originally selected by the Mets in the draft, but he didn't sign. And he was drafted by the Dodgers.
Popped up, foul territory, near the tarp, Sharperson, and it's back into the crowd. Several rows, 1-1 to Jeffries.
The Dodgers didn't put him on their roster, and Detroit got him. And then he was left off the Detroit Major League roster, and the Dodgers got him back.
John missed the, as you see, originally by the Mets, he missed the last cut by Detroit in 1988 in spring training. And the Dodgers reacquired him and didn't want to get rid of him to begin with, but they really had no other choice. 2 balls and a strike. If a player is left off the 40-man roster, the winter roster, he is vulnerable. He can be drafted. And this one ripped to right center. Good play by Samuel. Jeffries to second. Viola pulls into third. It's 4-0, New York.
Well, this run is unearned, and it's charged to Wetland, of course, as he made the error at first base on the 3rd out. Samuel, a good job cutting that one off, and Viola has to hold at 3rd base.
Outside to Elster. Double number 9 for Greg Jeffries and his 200th hit as a Met. Strike one, 1-1. Good play, Dempsey. Viola scampering back to third. 2 balls and a strike to Elster.
Dempsey does make a real good play. This is one of those 55-foot curveballs bouncing way out in front. And he uses that chest protector as a shield and blocks the ball. Viola very alertly coming up the line in that. He was ready to score.
Fouled out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Kevin Elster. 2 outs, 2 on, 4-0 Mets here in the bottom of the 4th. See Hubie Brooks cheating in right field, playing a very shallow right field with 2 strikes. A batter with some power, but his power is to left field, not to right. See Brooks playing a shallow right field, and that is proper, especially with 2 strikes to Elster. Outside, 3-2 to Kevin. Base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Jeffries, and it's cut off. 6-0 Mets. And I think that's going to be all for John Wetland. A costly error by Wetland has led to 3 runs here in the 4th inning.
Well, a fastball up and out over the plate and line to left field. Daniels, who plays a deep outfield, couldn't get to it. The throw cut off, and the Mets get 2 unearned runs here in the 4th inning.
So Mark. Ojo on the afternoon. He had an RBI on a fielder's choice in the 3rd, his 19th of the year. Now a check swing against Hartley, and Randolph throws him out. But the Mets played 3 big 6-0 here in the 5th inning. Frank Viola is cruising. Strike 1 to Mike Sharperson, who has the only hit off Frank. Curve, another hit for Sharperson. So 2 singles by Mike Sharperson finds Sharperson at first base, nobody out, and Rick Dempsey the batter. The Mets beat the Dodgers 7 out of 12 times last year. The team split 3 games. Split 6 games here at Shea, and the Mets won 4 of 6 at Dodger Stadium. Strike 1 to Dempsey, who walked his first at bat.
Dempsey's a survivor. He had a home plate collision with Bo Jackson and lived.
He said that collision got him out of Cleveland. Tim Cruz warming up. He actually told me that last night. He said that collision got me out of Cleveland. It broke my thumb. I was allowed free agency, and the Dodgers picked me up. I have nothing against Cleveland now. Rick said that. Okay. Just wanted to straighten that out. Your old team, the Indians.
I played in Cleveland, beautiful city.
Yep.
He said Bo Jackson went through him like whipped cream.
Bo goes through a lot of linebackers like whipped cream. 1-2 to Dempsey.
Is that the catbird seat?
Tapper toward 3rd. Johnson will try for 1 and get only 1.
But Jeffries got out of that one alive.
So 1 out now. Dempsey at first, and Alfredo Griffin the batter. Ball 1. Seeing that bird reminded me, on Thursday night I had the proud pleasure of narrating Peter and the Wolf for the City College Orchestra, an 18 to 20 member group over on 64th Street, and the bird was the flute in Peter and the Wolf. 1-0 to Alfredo Griffin. Tapper foul as he tried to bunt. 1-1. And that night I found out the difference between a violin and a viola. A violin has an E and a C string, and a viola doesn't. A viola is slightly larger than a violin,
Viola's got a change of pace, a fastball, and a curve.
An E and a C. E equals CM squared, maybe.
All right.
I don't know. 1-1 to Griffin.
Where's Einstein when he needed him? We need somebody to figure this one out.
2 balls and a strike. But at the time, I didn't know the difference between a viola and a violin.
One's bigger than the other, isn't it?
Well, viola's slightly larger than a violin, but the big thing is a violin has an E and a C string, which are, to my knowledge, higher pitched. And that's anything but Frank Viola, because all of his pitches have been down so far this season. 2-2 to Griffin.
He doesn't need a higher pitch.
No. Got him on strikes, so Griffin is out of there. The 5th strikeout.
Great. Probably won't sound the same. He might be out of work after he gets all those signatures on there, but he can trade it in.
That's right. I mean, here's a priceless viola that he's going to have the Mets autograph, carve into the wood. I felt like I was desecrating something as John Shelby rips one to right field. Pinch hitting for Mike Hartley. Shelby delivers. And the Dodgers with runners on first and second. And Juan Samuel, the batter. The Mets leading 6-0.
One more question as we keep this going a while. Stradivarius make violas?
I think they certainly make violins. I don't know about violas. The guys in the control room say not only violas, they make violins, violas, and cellos.
You're not going to believe anything comes out of that director's room, are you? Oh, okay, it comes from our audio man. He should know something about
That's exactly right. 1-0 to Samuel, who is 0 for 2, but he's hit the ball well twice. Stanley Mozart, our audio man,
stands right on.
1-1 to Juan Samuel. Inside, ball 2. 2-1 to Sammy. Dempsey at second base. And John Shelby at first. Boy, his RBIs have fallen off dramatically, cut in half last year, as you saw. Fouled off. 2-2 to Samuel.
When Samuel started his career, he was outstanding and on his way to being a superstar, but things started to go downhill for him, and the last few years have been very tough. In '87, he hit .272 with 28 home runs, 100 RBIs. Next year, he hit .243 with 12 home runs and 67 RBIs, and last year, he had just 11 home runs.
Grounder towards short. Fielded nicely by Elster and over to Jeffries. The All-Star ballot in the American League, and I guess the Yankees must have had some influence, because yesterday they tried to trade him, and that is the big story here in New York City now. They tried, and no one knows yet whether they're going to be successful or not.
And the first pitch to Strawberry, called strike. It will go to arbitration, and an arbitrator
Yep.
will decide. Winfield says he doesn't want to play with the California Angels.
Think that's a ploy to get more money in an extra year?
Absolutely.
He
had said he would go to California. One of what, 6 clubs he would go to?
One of 7, yeah.
And now, because he is claiming the 5-10 rule, 10 years in the major leagues, 5 years in one club, you have the right to turn down a club that you might be traded to. Although his contract says that he would accept the trade. So it's going to be determined by an arbitrator whether or not the contract or the 5-10 rule will take precedent. And this pitch fouled away, a fastball. 3-2 to Strawberry. And the pitch back to Strawberry, fouled away again. Strawberry with a big single in the 3rd inning. Drove in a run for the Mets. He's 1 for 2 in this game. This one grounded to the second baseman. Randolph, the throw to first base, picks up the out. Remember, drinking responsibly makes good sense. Please know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Now the batter will be Kevin McReynolds. And the first pitch, ball 1. Kevin McReynolds certainly remembers Cruz, but I would imagine that Cruz remembers him more so. On August 30th last year, a grand slam home run hit off Tim Cruz by Kevin McReynolds, and that pitch, a strike call. It's 1-2.
Only grand slam the Mets hit last year, as a matter of fact.
It was the 7th by Kevin McReynolds in his major league career, and it capped a 9-3 win. McReynolds had a great August last year. He had 9 home runs at .283. And the breaking ball again, 3-2. Mets leading 6-0. 3 unearned runs. Walked him. So McReynolds is on.
We mentioned the Nissan American League scoreboard earlier. The only day game, that Baltimore at Oakland. The other games, Toronto at Detroit, Milwaukee at Minnesota, Kansas City at Chicago, Cleveland at Texas. The Yankees play at Seattle this evening, and Boston at California.
Mike Marshall now the batter. Marshall with a double his first time up. Later on scored on a single by Boston. Marshall also was struck out. And it's a strike. Mets about hit the Dodgers 7-3. And this pitch fouled off, strike 2. Marshall, the former Dodger, came to the Mets along with Alejandro Pena for Juan Samuel. Two-strike pitch, and he's out of there. Got him with a curved ball, 2 men away.
Center fielder
Mike tries to hold up the breaking ball off the plate away, and he can't do it.
So 2 men away. McReynolds still at first base, and the batter will be Darrell Boston, who's 1 for 2. Drove in the first run for the Mets back in the second with a single to left field. And strike 1. Almost a sellout here today. Big Saturday afternoon crowd. And finally a pretty good baseball day. Temperature close to 70 degrees. One more with the Dodgers to close out this homestand. It'll be David Cohn pitching for the Mets against Tim Belcher, the ace right-hander for the Dodgers. 1-1 pitch. Belcher last year had 10 complete games, and that led the major leagues. I should say the National League. That's the lowest total ever. Fewest complete games to lead the National League.
8 shutouts also led the National League.
And there's a strike call. It's 2-2.
Well, it just goes to show you how the game is changing and how the bullpen is being used ever more frequently by major league managers. Guys, and there's the bullpen of the Mets. Guys set their lineup against right-handers. Middlemen, you bring in left-handers, right-handers. Very adaptable.
And that pitch, a fastball for ball 3, a full count. So the first baseman drops behind the runner at first. And McReynolds will be running with the pitch. The runner goes, and Boston with a check swing pops it to the third base side, where Sharperson makes the catch to retire to nothing. And for the Dodgers, it'll be Willie Randolph to lead it off. Willie with a strikeout and a ground out. 0 for 2 against Frank Viola. And the first pitch, a fastball for ball 1. Talking about complete games, Tim. The Mets have had only 2 complete games, one by Viola and one by Sid Fernandez. They were both shutouts. They're only shutouts. With complete games, they've had 4 shutouts pitched. The other 2 combined.
Guy looks like he's carrying a Viola of sorts.
And Frank Viola misses again. The count 3-1.
I really shouldn't say a Viola of sorts. It's either a Viola or it isn't a Viola.
You got to check out those strings. 3-2, a foul tip. So Viola with a full count to Willie Randolph. On deck batter Cal Daniels.
I tell you, the Viola's got the world by the strings right now.
6-0, trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues without a loss. And again, it's fouled off. Viola came into this game with an earned run average of 1.05. And it has been lowered to under 1 so far here in this game. 5 innings with no runs. Again, the 3-2 pitch. And it's chopped out to the shortstop, Kevin Elster. 1 away. Mike Maddox throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Cal Daniels now the batter for LA. Cal is 0 for 2. He's hit the Mets well. Lifetime average at 305. Good hitter. Acquired from Cincinnati. Born in Vienna, speaking of Violas. Vienna, Georgia. Daniels originally drafted by the Mets, but he didn't sign. And he hits it to the second base side. Greg Jefferies to first base for out number 2.
I'll tell you, it's not this easy to get out big league hitters. I remember Frank Viola telling me in spring training that you didn't see the real me last year. And boy, how true that is. He has been something. And only 2 of his 6 starts has he given up a run. He gave up 4 runs to the Expos, but 2 of those runs came on a double given up by John Franco. After a balk, Franco had balked the runners to second and third and then gave up the the double. So 2 of those earned runs against Franco given up by, or against Viola given up by Franco.
Hubie Brooks the batter with a count of 1-1. Hubie has struck out, grounded out. Two balls, one strike.
He has really made it look easy, hasn't he?
But you know, you're right about it. It's not that easy because you run into streaks where the pitches are hitting those little borderline positions and you happen to guess right. Get the hitter out. When you do make a mistake, it's fouled off. But there's a time when it evens up. Nobody's ever gone through a season with no losses. The closest to a perfect season was Johnny Allen, went 15-0 and pitched the last game of the season and got beat 1-0 for his only loss of the year. That was back in the 30s.
David Cohn went 20-3 2 years ago.
But Viola is certainly on a roll. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Got him with that great changeup. The ball down in the dirt. Hubie Brooks is struck out, then tagged out by Lyons to complete the strikeout. And a 1-2-3 inning for Viola. The score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Mets 6 and the Dodgers nothing. Now here's a word. And he starts off with a breaking ball. Maddox, the brother of Greg Maddox of the Cubs. One ball, one strike. Jose Gonzalez now in left field, replacing Kyle Daniels as they made a batting order switch, bringing in the right-handed pitcher. Little handle ground ball to the shortstop Griffin, the throw to first for the out. So Lyons, who was 2 for 2, is out for the first time today. That'll bring up Frank Viola. And the ground ball foul. Ground ball this time the second base side. Randolph fields it, throws to first for the out. Mets leading 6-0, 2 men away, bottom half of the 6th inning, and Greg Jeffries the batter. The play that broke this game open for the Mets, they were leading 3-0, was on a ground ball hit by Frank Viola. And the throw to first base was dropped by John Wetland. That would have been the third out of the inning. The Mets then went on to score 3 runs and come up with a 6-run spread. Jeffries followed that error with a double. Elster single. They got the Mets 3 runs. Elster a 2-run single. Jeffries a 1 RBI double.
Brings us back to George Will's visit the other night when he said you give a big league team 4 outs in an inning and they'll beat you. And that's what the Mets did to the Dodgers and Wetland in the 4th inning. Gave them 4 outs and they scored 3 runs.
Three and 1 to Jeffries, who is 1 for 2 today. He also has walked and scored, so he scored 2 runs.
It's like giving a football team 5 downs to get 10 yards.
This ball hit in the air to left field. Jose Gonzalez, the left fielder, is there. And he makes the catch, and the Mets go in order. The score at the end of 6.
1 walk. The Dodgers have 3 hits. He has been masterful. 0-2 to Mickey Hatcher. Changeup off the end of the bat to Jeffries. 1 out here in the 7th, and Mike originally signed with the Toronto Blue Jays, the starting second baseman for the Blue Jays back in 1987. Takes ball one. One and one to Sharperson. Ball two, 2-1. Another hit for Sharperson. So if he keeps hitting like that, he'll be a regular third baseman with Jeff Hamilton on the shelf. He's 3 for 3 this afternoon.
Right here, he gets it through the infield and has a perfect day going.
Greg Louganis attempting to make that catch. Hello, sweet face. Oh, isn't that a great looking child? Ground ball to second. It could be two. Elster, Jeffries, Marshall. So Rick Dempsey grounds into a double play, the first double play of the game. Viola once again. Viola with another shutout. Will recapitulate. In this, his 7th start, he has given up runs in only 2. On the 21st of April against the Expos, and his last start against the Astros.
And Tim, it's the bottom of the 7th. A lucky fan could win $100 and a chance for a $10,000 bonus from Budweiser as a designated Bud batter. Stay tuned to Kiner's Corner for details.
A DBB. 1-1 to Elster. Dodgers and Mets wrap it up tomorrow afternoon. Then the Mets head for the coast and Candlestick Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as Elster flies to Brooks. 1 out here in the 7th, and Howard Johnson coming up.
Howard Johnson.
Sally Field's rendition of the Flying Nun, maybe. Got to get Hubie to clip those sunglasses. The sunglass holders there. The elastic band holding the sunglasses. This one a one-hopper to Hatcher. 2 quick outs here in the 7th. And Darryl Strawberry coming up.
Right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
Maddox has retired 5 in a row since entering the game in the 6th inning. Inside, ball 1. Darryl 1 for 3, an RBI in the 3rd. Driving in Greg Jeffries. Fouled away, 1-1. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The Mets with 1 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, and 3 in the 4th. Fly ball to left field. Gonzalez. Glasses down, makes the play. So Mike Maddox has retired 6 Mets in a row. After 7, 6-0 New York, and we'll be back after this from Mobil Gasoline. Mets lead 6-0. And just a thought, in that daily news commercial, Dave Winfield was out of uniform. 0-1 to Griffin. 1-1.
Yeah, he's a man with no country right now. He can't play for the Yankees and
can't even suit up anymore, can he?
No, not until it's decided whether he is in that trade or out of it.
How about Mike Witt? I think Mike Witt can suit up. Is that right?
Yeah, he's going to go with the Yankees, but the Yankees say they'll complete that deal no matter what. Breakdown in his 21 outs today, 11 on the ground, 4 in the air, and 6 strikeouts. Now has 51 strikeouts. He needs 2 more strikeouts to tie Doc Gooden for the league lead in strikeouts. 2-2
to Griffin. Seems kind of strange that Witt can join the Yankees filling out their roster of 25 players. And the Angels, who are struggling anyway, have only 24 players on their roster. 3-2 to Griffin. The appeal, no, says first base umpire Terry Tata. Don Ossie warming for the Dodgers. Got him on strikes. Strikeout number 7 for Frank Viola. 1 out here in the 8th.
This time he goes to the fastball and gets the fastball at the knees, kind of a borderline call. Griffin back to the bench instead of off to first base.
Jose Gonzalez now. I've always had the thought that Jose Gonzalez should have been a better player, that if given an opportunity, big numbers in the minor leagues, never more than 230, 240 at bats for the Dodgers.
Plays
Great,
fine center field.
Yeah, good arm, good defensive player. 1-1 to Jose. The changeup is popped to short, and Elster makes the play. Take a look at how all this happened. It's been all Mets. Bottom of the second, an RBI single by Darrell Boston opens it. Mets leading 1-0 in the third. RBIs by Johnson and Strawberry. 3-0. Mets in the fourth. An error by pitcher John Wetland gave way to an RBI double by Jeffries and 2-run single by Kevin Elster. It's 6-0 New York. And Juan Samuel takes strike 1. 0-1 to Sammy, who is 0 for 3 on the day. 43,843 on hand to see another brilliant performance by Frank Viola. Change is low, 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Line Jeffries for the third out. Fine play by Greg Jeffries. Still 6-0, middle of the 8th. We'll be back after this from Bud Dry. Two and one. Bobby Ojeda warming in the bullpen. Frank Viola, meanwhile, has been pitching brilliantly, and he has thrown 122 pitches thus far. We'll see if he answers the bell in the ninth. 6-0 New York. 2-2 to McReynolds. Frankie V. V for victory so far. Tapper toward third. Sharperson has to hurry. Can't make the throw. An infield hit for Kevin McReynolds to lead off the 8th inning.
First baseman Mike Marshall.
Well, you had to play McReynolds deep, and when he tossed the ball down the third base side, there was just no chance for Sharperson. So he wisely holds onto the ball, and the Mets have a base hit.
And a base runner. Mike Marshall 1 for 3 with a run scored. He doubled in the second. Little shallow fly ball. Hubie Brooks. And Brooks diving for the ball. McReynolds will try for third base. The Mets with runners at first and third and nobody out. I guess Tommy Lasorda's thinking here, our Brooks missed the ball.
Well, right here, Marshall doesn't think it's going to be fair, and he isn't too far down the line. McReynolds was holding near first, and when he saw that it was going to drop in, he took off for third and got there. And Marshall stays at first. So 2 bloop hits for the Mets, as they can do nothing wrong here so far today, and runners at first and third and no one out.
Darryl Boston a swing and a miss. Strike 2, 0-2. You were a big fan of Eve Arden and our Miss Brooks.
I watched that show. That's sort of my time.
Mine too.
She's a great actress.
Sharply to second, Randolph to Griffin, and the throw to Hatcher is in time for the double play, but McReynolds scores the 7th run of the game. Now a 7-0 lead with Barry Lyons coming up.
No run batted in on this play. You can't get an RBI when you hit into a double play, but the Mets get the run anyway. And that is the first double play pulled off by the Dodgers. The Mets also have pulled off one.
Lined by Lyons, and a great play by Sharperson to throw out Barry Lyons, who was vying for his 3rd hit of the ball game. The Mets score another run. They lead 7-0 after 8. And we'll see if Viola comes out in the 9th after this word from American Airlines.
In town. For information on how to get one, call the Leukemia Society at 212-679-1939.
Top of the 9th inning, and Frank Viola is back. Trying for his 2nd complete game shutout of the season. He has been something.
And fans, did you know that every time a Mets player steals a base, you could win a new 1990 Nissan 300ZX? Just go to your participating Nissan dealer and enter the Nissan stolen base game. No purchase is necessary. You must be 18 years old and a licensed driver to play. And Tony Cruz of Smithtown, New York, was our today's contestant.
Rather appropriate to have Cruz the winner, because that's what Viola has done. He has cruised, and Willie Randolph on the first pitch pops to Elster at short. One away here in the 9th, and that'll bring up a pinch hitter for Mike Maddox. It looks like it's going to be Tony Gwynn, or Chris Gwynn, I beg your pardon, but it's not. It's Lenny Harris.
And we'll check out the Nissan National League scoreboard. All the other games are at night, so the schedule shows you San Francisco and Philly, Houston and Pittsburgh, Chicago and Cincinnati, Atlanta and St. Louis, Montreal and San Diego, and only one day game in the American League.
Speaking of San Diego and Tony Gwynn, as I try to recover from that gaffe, we will see them next Saturday and Sunday on WWOR. The Mets go in there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3-game series. 1-1 to Lenny Harris. Outside, ball 2. 2-1 to Lenny. The Dodgers have been shut out only once this year. Every team in the National League has been shut out at least once, with the Astros and the Cardinals the most shutouts, 4. And Frank Viola 1 out away from shutting out the Dodgers for the second time this year.
And checking out the Nissan American League scoreboard, Toronto and Detroit, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Kansas City and Chicago, Cleveland and Texas, Baltimore and Oakland. That ball game is just getting underway. New York and Seattle, Boston and California.
Hubie Brooks the batter. Hubie 0 for 8 in the second game of the 3-game series. He has struck out twice today. 0-1 to Brooks. Fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes to Hubie. Crowd on their feet. Ground ball is short. Elster over to Marshall, and Viola with another terrific performance. His second complete game shutout and the 5th time of his 7 starts that he is not allowed a run. The only times, again, that he has allowed runners or runs this year, the 21st of April against the Expos and the 7th of May against the Astros. 7-0, the Mets win it, and 7-0, Viola runs his record. Another flawless performance for Viola as he struck out 7, walked 1, and wins his 7th straight outing. Boy, he has been something. We'll be back with some further comments. Kiner's Corner following the ball game right after this from the American Dairy Association. Frank Viola's record is now 7-0, and the Mets winning today behind Frank Viola 7-0. I guess Ringo Starr's words are ringing clear. It don't come easy. You know it don't come easy, but it has come easy for Frank Viola this year. And we'll say again, in only 2 of his starts has he allowed runs. He's only allowed 5 earned runs in 54 innings now. He raised his strikeout total to 52 today, and he now leads in the AT&T Long Distance Award. And we'll explain that once more. After every game this season, points will be awarded to Met pitchers for the AT&T Long Distance Award. Here's how it works. For every inning pitched, you get a point. We'll also add in the fractions. If a pitcher is credited with a complete game, he gets a bonus point. At the end of the season, the man on top will win the AT&T Long Distance Award. And a very worthy Frank Viola with a little tune that we have for his brilliant performances so far this season. Listen up.
Your own sweet way. Now I can talk to you, see, I can talk to you at night. When it comes to love, you won't take good advice. You'll go your own sweet way. It doesn't matter what I say, what I do, what I think. You can lead a horse to water, you can make him drink. You'll go your own sweet way. I say you'll go your own sweet way.
Viola superb once again. He wins his 7th game. The Mets win it 7-0. We'll be back after this from a word from Bud Light. The Mets win it 7-0. Frank Viola goes 7-0. Only 4 hits for the Dodgers, 9 for the Mets, as the New York Mets beat the Los Angeles Dodgers for the 2nd straight time. It's easy. The Budweiser player of the game, Frank Viola. He becomes the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. So Viola now 7-0. The Mets go 2 games above 500. Their record now 16-14. New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Bud Drive, smooth taste, no aftertaste. By Manufacturers Hanover, where your money has power. By Nissan, building cars for people who want more than just a means of getting from here to there. Nissan, built for the human race. By the 9X Yellow Pages, if it's out there, it's in here. By Delta Airlines, we love to fly and it shows, with over 2,400 flights a day. By RC Cola. And by Mita, all we make are great copiers. Some of our guests this afternoon will receive the Castle 951 Sports Sunglass. Interchangeable side shields and sports straps, the Castle 951 is worn by sports celebrities worldwide. Castle, available at fine optical and sunglass shops everywhere. Also, from Verdi Travel Wear's Cortina Contemporary Luggage, perfect for vacations. For business, fashionable Verdi luggage. Have a good trip. Fans, be with us again tomorrow when the Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers at 1:30 right here on WOR-TV. Now stay tuned for Kiner's Corner. Our special guest this afternoon, Frank Viola. The executive producer of Mets Baseball 90 is Rick Miner. Produced and directed by Jeff Mitchell. Associate producer Steve Olbaum. The associate directors John Calabrese and Alexander Salman. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by Sterling Doubleday Enterprises, and this has been a presentation of WOR-TV Sports. Good day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Kiner's Corner is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealers. And by NatWest Banks, raising the standards of banking. Well, the Mets won it today by a score of 7-0. A masterful 4-hitter pitched by Frank Viola. And we'll be talking to Frank about that ball game in just a moment, right after this word from Bud Light. Well, our guest in the show on Kiner's Corner is Frank Viola, and Frank with his 2nd shutout of the year and also a 2nd complete game. Frank, first of all, I guess we should explain what all this is about. You look like you're ready to go somewhere.
I was wounded in war today.
Yeah.
No, it's just precaution. Freshman year in college, I came down with a little tendonitis in my elbow, and it wasn't anything serious, but the doctor at the time said that the best thing to do after you pitch is ice your arm. So I just got in a habit every time after I pitched to ice my elbow and ice my shoulder, and it just looks like a lot, but it just keeps the swelling down and gets my arm going real quick.
Does that hurt at all?
No, I'm so used to it now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What about your hip problem? Any problems today?
No, it felt real good today. Keith Sedgwick and Steve Garland and Bob Sykes have been doing a great job on it, and it felt better than ever, and hopefully it'll keep on progressing well with the warm weather coming on. Threw
a lot of pitches. We were wondering upstairs, Tim and I, whether or not you might not come out for the 9th inning. Any discussion about that?
Well, Mel asked if I wanted it, and I said, yeah, I'd like to. And fortunately, first couple of guys, I got out on the 1st or 2nd pitch.
Yeah, right.
And it made it a lot easier for me.
Well, only 4 hits in the ball game, and 3 of them by Sharperson. Mike coming up with 3. You're keeping 2 players in the league. I mean, Sharperson now is 3 for 3 against you, and
Eric
Yelding is 6 for 6 against you.
There's my second baseman and shortstop. They're going to be my selections for the All-Star team.
All-Star team, no doubt about it. Well, that was an outstanding ball game, and of course, as usual, you had 7 strikeouts and just one now behind Doc. And anything special about the game that you thought? Any crucial points in it?
I'll tell you what, the overall defense today just did an outstanding job for me. All I had to do was put the ball in play, and they made the plays for me. And when a pitcher goes out there with the confidence of the guys behind them, it makes the job real easy. You know, when they score 7 runs, that's an added plus. And it was nice pitching today.
Of course, you were involved in 3 of those runs scoring when you got down to first base on the air, or when the pitcher dropped the ball, Wetland.
Well, I guess he was afraid of my speed or something,
I guess
so he rushed.
He had to rush in a hurry to get down there. Let's take a look at one of the strikeouts in the ball game. 7 for Frank, as he is one behind Doc.
Willie Randolph.
This is in the
that's
first
the fastball.
inning.
I think that's the first time in 9 years of playing against Willie Randolph that I've struck him out. He usually hits me very well.
Pretty good contact hitter. Well, he made contact all 4 times a day, but nothing serious, and nobody got as far as third base against you.
Well, I just tried throwing strike 1. You know, I don't want to come down from this, you know, this high I'm on right now. Everything seems to be going well. I just want to keep on working hard, take it a game at a time, and hope it keeps up the rest of the way.
Of course, you've had a great change of pace. Let's take a look at this one. Hubie Brooks is the batter in the second inning, and this is a pitch that is bread and butter to you.
Yeah, it's a change-up away. But I have to set it up with the fastball. You know, today, I keep on saying it over and over again, but Barry's doing a great job behind the plate. We're really working well together.
How do you throw your change of pace?
Well, basically, all I have to do is go...
Circle, huh?
Okay, yeah. And just hold it off that.
Well, let's take a look at this one. This is Billy Hatcher, Mickey Hatcher, I should say.
Mickey Hatch.
And he is batting in the 4th inning.
Yeah, that was another change-up, yeah. Thing is, if they know you're going out there to throw strikes, that's when you're able to get the change-up. They'll swing the change-up off the plate, and you know, so far so good.
Well, you have to have something to set it up. And your fastball this year, we only saw you in 10 decisions last year, 5-5 with the Mets, seems to be much better than last year. You're throwing the fastball much more often and also harder.
Well, I'm establishing it. Last year, it seemed like I was nitpicking, and when you nitpick, you're not going full out.
You're challenging now.
That's my. I don't have an overpowering fastball, but for me to be successful and to be able to use the change and curve, I have to throw that fastball.
Let's take a look at this strikeout right here. This is
another change-up, Alfredo.
Griffin, and there again is that changeup way out of the strike zone. When you set up to throw that pitch, do you have any idea exactly what you want it out of the strike zone? You want it in, of course, it depends on the
just
count.
want it in the vicinity, but I try keeping it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anything, I guess, belt up on a changeup, they're going to crush. So I just try keeping the ball down, and wherever it goes, it goes.
Well, that was a real pitching performance out there. And this is your 6th strikeout, and again, it's Hubie Brooks at the plate. And there it is again. Now, it looks like you're only throwing changeups there.
Well, and that's another change. No, that was a fastball, Alfredo. Touch was pretty good with the strike zone.
I was going to say, you got a little help right there, because that was borderline 3-2, yeah. And that was a fastball strikeout there for your 7th strikeout of the ball game. So, an outstanding pitching performance by Frank Viola. And Frank, congratulations on a 7-0 start. Of course, that's the best in the major leagues. And who knows? Go all the way without a loss. No one's ever done that.
No. Thanks, Ralph.
A little bit tough. Okay, Frank Viola, the winning pitcher in the ball game, now 7-0, and he leads the National League in earned run average with that shutout. And we'll return in just a moment right after this message from NatWest Banks.
Budweiser and WWOR are going to name a designated Bud batter during every Kiner's Corner. If any Mets player hits a home run during the 7th inning of the game, the designated Bud batter earns $100 immediately and shares in a $10,000 bonus pool given out at the end of the season. If we don't homer but a Met gets on base, you win a Budweiser jacket and baseball cap. The designated Bud batter will be announced during each Kiner's Corner from among the fans who write in. So if you're 21 or older, you can send your name, address, and telephone number to Bud Batter's Box, P.O. Box 514, St. Louis, Missouri, 63166. Or you can pick up an entry blank at your participating retailer. No purchase is necessary. Just look for the Budweiser display. So hurry and write in, then watch Kiner's Corner on WWOR.
Well, the Mets winning by a score of 7-0. The designated Bud batter for today's game was Fred Kuhn, K-E-U-N-E. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Kuhn, of Fort Myers, Florida. Unfortunately, the Mets went out in order in the 7th inning, so sorry, Fred. Try again. You might be a winner. Checking out the highlights of the ball game as the Mets won it by a score of 7-0 on the shutout by Frank Viola. In the bottom of the second with 2 outs and runner on second, Darrell Boston singles to left, scoring Marshall from second. The Mets take the lead by a score of 1-0. Then in the bottom of the third, also with 1 out and the bases loaded, Howard Johnson grounds into a 6-4 double play. They didn't make the double play. And so Barry Lyons comes in to score from third, and the Mets lead 2-0. Then Darryl Strawberry doubles to left, scoring Greg Jeffries from third. That makes it 3-0. In the bottom of the fourth, 2 out, runners on first and second. Jeffries doubles up the middle, scoring Barry Lyons from third base, and the Mets have the lead 4-0. And Kevin Elster with a big single right here, the drive in 2, scoring Viola and Jeffries, and the Mets lead 6-0. Then Darrell Boston in this spot grounds into a 6-4-3 double play, and scoring from third base is Kevin McReynolds, and that makes it a 7-0 ball game. And that's the way the Mets won it, by a score of 7-0. We'll be back to check out the schedule and the games in progress in just a moment, right after this message from Mitsubishi Motors. Well, the Mets winning by a score of 7-0, the second win in a row over the Dodgers, and the Mets will be playing one more with the Dodgers tomorrow afternoon to close out the homestand. Checking out the other games in the National League, all-night games. San Francisco will be at Philadelphia. Peralt's on the mound for the Giants, and Ruffin going for the Phillies. Phillies in second place. Also, Houston playing in Pittsburgh. The Pirates in first place. Mark Portugal on the mound for Houston. He's 1-3. And Neil Heaton 5-0 on the mound for the Pirates. That, of course, being played in Pittsburgh. Chicago playing in Cincinnati. The Reds on top in the National League West. Bilecki on the mound, 1-3 against Browning, 3-2. And Atlanta playing in St. Louis. Also in that ball game, Lilliquist against De Leon. Lilliquist with a record of 1-4. De Leon with a record of 2-2. Montreal scheduled against San Diego. And Smith on the mound for Montreal, 2-2 in the year against Bruce Hurst, who has a record of 1-4. Over in the American League, all the games also at night with the exception of one. Toronto playing in Detroit. Steve on the mound, 5-1 against Morris, 2-4. Milwaukee playing in Minnesota. Knutson going for Milwaukee against Tapani, his record 3-2, the former Mets pitcher. Kansas City against Chicago, and it's Dotson against Perez. Cleveland playing in Texas. They have to complete a suspended game from rain of last night. It was a 4-4 tie. And they'll play the regular game in that suspended game is scheduled to be Black against Witt. And then Baltimore in Oakland, and that game, a day game in progress, and after 1 inning of play, it's Baltimore 0, Oakland 0, Johnson against Young. The Yankees are scheduled against Seattle. Tim Lurie on the mound for the Yankees. He has a record of 1-3. Hanson 3-1 going for Seattle. And also scheduled Boston against California. Harris against Blyleven. So that's the way the scoreboard reads. And we'll return in just a moment right after this message from Bud Dry. Now here's Kiner's Corner Mystery Met. The first 6 years of this outfielder's career were spent with the Mets. His best year was his first in 1965 when he belted 19 home runs, but his most famous year was the glory year of 1969. Name this Mystery Met. Rocky Ron Swoboda never won a Gold Glove, but his catch in the 1969 series made him a New York legend. Well, the Mets winning today and on the homestand now 7-3. They've won 6 of their last 7 ball games, and the Dodgers in losing have extended their losing streak to 6 straight ball games. And on the road trip, they have won 1 and lost 7. Final game of this homestand for the Mets tomorrow. It'll be David Cone on the mound for the Mets. He has a record of 0-2. Tim Belcher, the ace of the Dodgers staff, going for L.A., and his record 2-3. So we'll see you tomorrow. Game time at 1:35. We'll be on the air at 1:30. Kiner's Corner has been brought to you by Bud Dry. Smooth taste, no aftertaste. By Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealers. And by NatWest Banks, raising the standards of banking. My guest will receive the spoiler. It's thickly padded arm pillows, three-tiered back and deeply padded cushioned seat make it the most comfortable seat in the house. From Action Recliners by Lade. Kiner's Corner produced by Steve Obaum. Directed by Jeff Mitchell. Our stage manager, Curtis Reed. Production assistants, Joshua Shahid, Jonathan Paisner, and Thomas Ryan Jr.